On the open savanna, sometimes the most intimidating presence is not a single predator, but an entire pack of wild dogs appearing at once. They do not arrive to test their luck. They arrive with a plan, operating together like a single machine. Here, one mistimed move means losing the advantage, and one slow step means being pushed out of the contest. So who truly commands this land? The strength of one individual or the power of the pack? Wild dogs and lions are bound in an unavoidable relationship of tension. They pursue the same large prey and compete for the same living space, often crossing paths along territorial boundaries and around shared food sources. When a direct encounter occurs, the balance clearly favors the lion. A single unexpected advance can quickly place the wild dogs at a disadvantage if awareness slips for even a moment. The risk is even greater for younger members of the pack, as lions may attempt to remove future competition to protect their position. To endure, wild dogs rely on constant vigilance, rapid movement, and the readiness to disperse when lions draw near. Survival is not always found in confrontation, but in knowing when to step back to protect the future of the entire pack. Across Africa's open grasslands, the impala represents alertness and speed. A full-grown individual can accelerate beyond 50 miles per hour within just a few strides, leaping over 10 feet while changing direction. Yet the impala's greatest strength is not muscle alone, but the ability to sustain long-distance movement across wide, open terrain. Wild dogs understand this well. They rarely launch into a full sprint at the start. The pursuit begins with steady pressure, forcing the impala to maintain high speed over extended distances. Fatigue gradually builds, and every shift in the landscape can become a decisive turning point. When the savanna opens toward shallow water, the strategy shifts. One group cuts off the path, guiding the impala toward the river's edge. In the water, wild dogs swim efficiently, quietly closing the distance. The escape space narrows with each moment. chase ends quickly as the pack works together to draw the impala back onto land. There is no display, only an energy-efficient plan carried out with precision. Success does not belong to the fastest runner, but to those who know exactly where to bring the pursuit to an end. For wild dogs, an adult elephant marks a boundary that cannot be crossed. A young elephant, however, can briefly create a sense of possibility. Nearly as large as a fully grown buffalo, moving a little slower at times, it may drift toward the edge of the group within just a few steps. The wild dog pack immediately shifts into an opportunistic mode, looking for a chance to separate the young elephant. But the elephant herd reacts even faster. Adults close in, forming a solid barrier, drawing the calf safely into the center. With a single decisive advance, the balance changes. The wild dogs disperse instantly, because at this distance, one mistimed move carries real consequences. The pack withdraws, as if there had never been an attempt at all. The lesson is clear. Endurance allows wild dogs to survive, but when facing elephants, the discipline of the herd is something that cannot be broken. Along the edges of the savanna, where trees grow denser, wild dogs and baboons are sometimes forced to share the same space. Adult baboons are large, physically strong, and highly intelligent. With tall trees and rocky ledges as support, they move with confidence, climbing quickly and standing firm within large groups. Wild dogs quickly recognize the imbalance when facing adult baboons directly. A baboon holds its ground, using size and the surrounding vegetation to respond decisively, prompting the pack to keep its distance. After a few brief approaches and careful assessments, the wild dogs gradually pull back, yielding space to the group that clearly controls the area. Opportunities usually appear when a younger individual falls behind, momentarily separated from the protective circle. A short, precise approach follows. The encounter ends quickly, and the pack withdraws before the situation can shift. The leopard is a solitary hunter, adapted to silence and surprise. It typically acts quickly, then moves its catch into dense cover or up into trees to avoid attention. Yet this very habit places it on a collision course with wild dogs, pack hunters that range widely and remain alert to every opening. When a pack of wild dogs appears, the pace shifts immediately. There is no single direct charge, only repeated pressure from multiple directions. Under the weight of numbers and continuous approaches, holding on to a catch becomes increasingly difficult. In encounters like this, the leopard often chooses to withdraw, not because it lacks strength, but because direct confrontation is not its path to survival. The wild dogs do not need to pursue. Collective pressure has already done its work. The encounter closes quickly. On the savannah, success is sometimes not about force, but about compelling an opponent to move away at the right moment. The African buffalo is one of the most challenging targets on the savannah. A full-grown individual can weigh more than 1,300 pounds, equipped with curved, sharp horns and extremely fast defensive reactions. When standing within the herd, buffalo form a unified front, leaving predators with very few openings. Wild dogs understand these limits well. They do not attempt a direct approach. Instead, the pack moves alongside the herd, using endurance to apply constant pressure along the outer edge. The goal is to wear down a single adult, forcing it to fall behind. Once enough dogs gather around the separated individual, the pursuit reaches its conclusion. With younger buffalo, whether moving beside their mothers or not, the situation is far less complex for the pack. Numbers create immediate control, leaving little space for escape. On the savannah, success does not come from head-on confrontation, but from steadily draining energy and drawing an opponent away from the protection of the group. During migration season, wildebeest become a large but well-matched challenge for wild dogs. Weighing over 400 pounds and moving with endurance in tight formations, they are difficult to separate as long as the herd remains organized. For this reason, wild dogs stay close to the outer edges, waiting for the precise moment when one individual falls out of rhythm, turning numerical pressure into opportunity. The encounter begins with a calculated pursuit, stretching across several miles. Members of the pack take turns applying pressure, forcing the wildebeest to maintain a high pace without pause. There is no recovery window, no safe point to slow down. Each rotation conserves energy for the pack, while the target steadily loses its advantage. As the distance closes, the formation tightens with discipline. The final phase unfolds smoothly. The pursuit ends quickly, not as a result of raw speed, but as a natural outcome of greater endurance. This strategy gives wild dogs one of the highest success rates on the savanna, often exceeding 70%. Within the ecological cycle, endurance and coordination do more than provide an advantage. They shape the very survival of a species. Amid the dust and wind of the savanna, wild dogs are not only pursuing prey, they are racing against hunger, rivals, and time itself. Every encounter becomes a survival equation, where pack discipline determines who maintains momentum and who loses the advantage. As the sun lowers, the tracks left in the grass carry a single message: nature always demands adaptation. If this journey has kept your attention until the final moment, remember to like and subscribe to follow more stories from the wild. Turn on notifications so you do not miss the instant when the savanna shifts in a single breath.